Every month, gameranx rounds up the weirdest stuff that happens in the world of gaming, and there's no shortage. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, the weird gaming stories of January 2022. We started this year off strong at number 10 when an 18-year-old girl in Singapore used her father's credit card to spend $20,000 in Genshin Impact. Now, first off, let's just go ahead and say, like, an 18-year-old understands what a microtransaction is. They understand what money is. They understand that spending money is a thing. This isn't like a 6-year-old that pressed the shiny blinking button that gives you stuff a lot of times. This is a legal adult by our standards, so you wouldn't think that she'd make that as a mistake. Now, when the dad confronted his daughter, apparently it didn't really matter much to her. Now, this is something that happens more and more, so like the event itself is less weird, but to me what's so weird is how normal this has become. We see a story like this often now. It is not a rare occurrence, which is weird. The only kind of weird element of this one specifically is that the child was a legal adult by United States standards. The father was quoted as saying, "We as parents have totally no control. It's a disaster waiting to happen, and I want to make sure more parents are aware of it." Now, I do want to say this is ultimately the fault of companies and their policies and the mechanics they put in these games. Like, apparently this guy's daughter was spending up to $300 at a time on the loot box mechanic for randomized items. And frankly, that's just a gambling addiction, and it's reprehensible. But no control? You could not give your daughter the credit card, which, to be clear, he did give her the credit card, quote unquote, for transportation expenses. Now, I would maybe give a credit card that doesn't have a above $20,000 limit on it. You know, he was able to recover about $10,000 of it from the bank, which is great, but this shouldn't have happened. Again, there are ways to prevent this from happening at the individual level, but it's just criminal that these types of things are even in existence. At number 9, a slightly less systemic problem. A couple of LAPD officers were fired for ignoring a robbery to catch a Snorlax in Pokemon Go. Now, this actually happened back in 2017, but we didn't really hear about it back then. The only reason this got into the news is because these gentlemen saying that the usage of in-car recordings during the disciplinary process was inappropriate, which I'm gonna go ahead and say is hilarious. The court denied their petition, as of course they were going to. Wouldn't the specific thing that would be used in this would be in-car recordings? Like, wouldn't they want proof that they didn't go to a robbery because they were playing a video game? Like, the video footage proved that they heard the call to go there and they didn't go there. It seems like the only possible way to figure that out, so it makes sense that the court threw it out. Still weird. Protect and serve? At number 8, a YouTuber made an adapter to be able to play PlayStation 5 games with one hand. The guy's name's Akaki Kumiri, and he originally made this so that he could take on the game It Takes Two by himself, which is pretty great. It's basically a series of levers that you hold the controller with your hand, and you have an extra set of buttons to press down, as well as sort of a trigger that handles the analog stick. It's something you can 3D print, and the design is symmetrical, so if you want to play two controllers at once, you can. Or let's say you're a disabled person and the other hand is the one you're able to use, you just flip it. It's a pretty cool device, honestly, and Sony, while they don't really have an equivalent of Microsoft's adaptive controller, this is something that, for people who don't have two working hands, or just people who want to play a co-op game that you can't play alone, a very, very interesting, if not pretty weird too, homebrew contraption. At number 7, nowadays most people love video games, except for one kid who learned the hard way not to mess around with the settings on the Switch. Now, the way this came about was his dad logged in to Animal Crossing and noticed that all his turnips were spoiled. Now, turnips are what you trade on the in-game stock market. It's actually a Japanese pun. Turnip is the same word for stock in Japan. And what had happened was his kid decided to to turn the date forward a little bit to skip forward to an in-game event. This cost his dad a lot in the in-game currency, bells. So, as punishment, the dad decided to make the kid pay off the debt, and he's not allowed to stop playing the game until this happens. That's honestly a pretty astounding way of making your kid want to play video games less, but I also don't think that's really the goal. That's not really what parents want nowadays. Apparently, they just want their damn bells. It's funny because they used to force children to do labor on real farms. At number 6, the No Man's Sky developer Hello Games put out a game a long time ago, 2010 to be exact, called Joe Danger, which is kind of a combination racing game, platformer that you could edit courses, and had a really thriving community where Hello Games would add features based on requests. And in that vein, they got fan mail from the parent of a child who was diagnosed with autism, who asked for them to remaster the game. And they remastered it with better visuals, a higher frame rate, promotion, gamepad support. And it's not so weird in that they did this. It's weird that you just hear something nice for once. Like, we do have heartwarming stories from time to time, but not as much in the gaming world, and that's great. And number 5, a gentleman by the name of Jack Bayless runs a subscription service telling scalpers where to go to buy PS5 and Xbox Series X consoles to sell at a higher price. Now, that doesn't sound that weird. I'll tell you what's weird though. That guy is making £45,000 a month. That is roughly $60,000 a month. And it's something that he's probably going to be able to do for the foreseeable future because there is not going to be a change in the semiconductor shortage anytime soon. And that's precisely why the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X are not being produced in the quantities that could be sold. This is kind of the reality for the bigger consoles at the moment, but the particularly weird thing about this gentleman by the name of Jack Bayless is that he claims he's doing this as a means to create and encourage young entrepreneurs. I mean, sure, whatever. And number 4, a Final Fantasy VII porno interrupted a government meeting in Italy. The meeting was a Zoom call, and someone who managed to get onto the Zoom call, either intentionally or unintentionally, decided to show a computer-generated Tifa Lockhart clip, let's say. And I'm sitting here and I'm thinking to myself, wow, the video editing guys at gameranx are gonna have their hands full with this. Just like the computer-generated guy in the video, you know? Because, what Tifa's known for? Yeah. I mean, props to the guy who managed to get in on this Zoom call and yell a bunch of Italian crap over a porno being shown in the Italian Senate. That's about as weird as it gets, honestly. That's a prime Weird Gaming Stories story. And number 3, somebody made a no beard mod for God of War on PC. Now, honestly, this is pretty cool. Not because they removed the beard, that in of itself isn't really that cool, but because the old Kratos, the young Kratos, didn't have a beard. He just had kind of a little goatee thing. And while this isn't that, it's a step towards that. And there might be an actual new style, old, young Kratos mod in the near future. At least that's my hope. Is it that important? No, it's purely aesthetic. It's not going to change anything about the game, but it's cool. Also, Kratos, man, not a bad mustache. Let it grow in a little thicker, though. Maybe that's the next mod. I don't know. And number 2, in the official Logitech G community for Vietnam, they posted a mod to the Logitech G mouse. Now, this mod is ugly as hell, just to be clear, but it's also really fun. This is a mechanical keyboard mouse. It was submitted, get this, by a member of the Vietnam Mechanical Keyboard Club, which is a small group of people who are enthusiasts of mechanical keyboards in Vietnam. You can actually follow them on Instagram at vnmk.official. Although it's hyper specific why you would want to do that. There's 455 people in Vietnam that really like mechanical keyboards, and one of them soldered some mechanical keyboard pieces into a mouse, and voila, got a clicky clacky mouse. It's weird because, again, it looks terrible, but it's also a lot of fun. I have to imagine that this was done because A, the responsiveness of a mechanical keyboard, obviously, but B, the sound. The click-clack of a mechanical keyboard is so much better than the sound of a mouse click. And finally, at number 1, there are a number of impossible items to get using regular methods in Zelda Breath of the Wild. These items were things that were forgotten about, or perhaps they existed as some sort of test and just were never taken out, etc., etc. And there's one arrow that has eluded glitch runners, speed runners, etc., etc., people who look for ways to get these impossible items. So a gentleman by the name of Luke Steelman figured out how to do it, and I'm not going to detail the process exactly because I don't fully understand it. I watched a 20-minute video of him getting this thing, and the amount of times that he blew himself up, I don't know how this works. I am not an expert on Zelda glitches, but it was fascinating. If you're interested in glitches, this is a video to watch, and if you're that type of a person, maybe even attempt this yourself. It's wild. But then again, so much stuff going on in the Breath of the Wild community is. And that's all for today. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now is, of course, a perfect time to do so. And of course, do not forget to click the notification bell. As always, we thank you so much for watching this video. I am Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at Falcon the Hero. And we'll see you next time right here on gameranx.